Hi, it's Paul Antonelli here. Welcome to another episode of the Ideal Business Podcast. Today I'm going to talk about a very simple principle, but one that will save you a lot of time, effort, and money if you use it as a way of, when you're working in your business, you're looking at adding new things in or improving or making changes, which is an ongoing process. It'll save you a lot of time, effort, and money. What happens in businesses, particularly if you've been around 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 15 years, the longer you've been around, the more, I won't call it baggage, but the more things that get put into place. And these can be processes, systems, forms, data that gets collected, all sorts of things. When you look at why this happens in businesses, there's so many people that come into a business, team members that will join the business, and they might be there for 6 months or 12 months or a year or 3 years or whatever it is, and they might implement some changes or introduce some systems or processes which are really good. And then as it gets transferred and hand over when people leave, a lot of these sort of stay in play. And then somewhere down the track, there's a whole bunch of things that are taking place that no one really knows why. And I don't know if this is familiar in your business. And so it's really important in a business to look closely at what you can get rid of. Businesses get really complex. Lots of systems, lots of processes, lots of this. We've introduced this. If you're very systems orientated and procedural orientated, which is a really good way to scale and grow a business with predictability, then there's a lot of this stuff flying around the place and it needs a cleanup. So I came up with a principle, and this sort of was prompted. The reason I wanted to put this podcast together today was it was prompted. I was talking to a client the other day. I was looking at doing some new stuff, and I went through this concept. Went through this concept with him. So I call it the dad principle. The dad principle, and you don't have to be a dad to use it. It's just something that makes so much sense. So let's go through it. So the first thing, when you're looking at someone comes to you in your business. So how does it get used? When someone comes to your business, or you're looking at making a change or improving something, or there's something that's not working right, the first thing to identify with that particular issue or process or item or system is whether it's needed. So the D for dad, the first D stands for detonate. So when you'd be surprised how often there's things that we're trying to improve or streamline or change, which are actually no longer needed. So one of the things to look closely at is before you start that process, because when you are going to initiate an improvement, make something better, look at how you can streamline it, any of those things, they're complex. You need to spend time and effort and money on it. And then you need to test it, you need to do all sorts of things. And it takes attention away from other areas which may or may not be a priority. So the first thing is to look at if it's needed. Is it needed? And so if it's not something that's of any value, if it's not something that anyone uses anymore, if it just takes time without any outputs, then you might want to consider detonating it, which is just getting rid of it. And an example I give you is I had a CFO in the business a few years, it was probably a couple of years ago, and there was a whole, as an accountant, they produced a whole range of different reports, and these reports were quite detailed reports. They included every time we do a board meeting, detailed reports, lots of graphs, lots of charts, lots of information, lots of KPIs, lots of this, lots of that. And it was something that sort of was in play beforehand, and the new CFO came on board and continued to and wanted to look at how to improve and change this information. And when that was flagged, when she flagged that with me, I remember looking at it and going, well, I don't really know who uses this information. As a business owner, I didn't really use it. It was too detailed. I've got other mechanisms for doing that. So I asked her why she was using this, why she was putting these reports together. It took a fair amount of time to do this. And she said it was just something that was in place that she picked up. She got handed over to her as something that she believed was necessary. So we just eliminated it. I said, look, I don't really need it. If you don't need it, if it's no use to you, just detonate it. And we got rid of it. And I can give you many examples of where we've done this over time. Processes, for example, other processes which include, particularly when you're looking at, let's say, statistics or sharing information, or meetings are a really good example. These are things that pop up. Oh, look, we need to change that. Should really ask the question first and foremost, is it needed? Does it add any value? Is it still current? Because things change, the team members change, the requirements change, the business needs change. So look, the first thing you should do before you look at improving anything, changing anything, looking at how you can streamline something is, do you need it? So detonate. The second part of the principle is automate. So we believe in a high level of automation in all the businesses that we operate and when we work with clients. And automation, to me, basically means not needing human input or involvement at all. And so the idea then is, if there's anything that you're going to improve or change or systemize, can it be automated? Can a system or a process be put in place using a specific platform which can eliminate the need for any human involvement? And if you can do that, then you look at how you could actually automate. And automation there's different, people have different ideas. A lot of marketing is automated, for example. Send out an email, they do this, we put them into a particular funnel. But not many parts of the business are automated. Handling inquiries, onboarding new clients, new prospects, the management of clients, or the dealing with products and services that the send out, following up for feedback, all these sorts of things. So if it's something that we've worked out, look at it's something we need, then we look at how we can automate it and eliminate the need for a human being to be involved in it. Give you a good example of this. One thing that we do really well is collect testimonials, and we've done this across a number of businesses. And we had a process where we have team members contact past clients and to solicit feedback, and then we had emails that we could send out, and we realized that we weren't quite getting the result that we needed, and it was a little bit hit and miss because it was something that someone had to do. So the idea was to take that out of anyone's task list because it didn't need it, and we set up an automated sequence. We use a platform called Entreport for all our automation needs, and we just tested it. So after we service a client, we would request them to give us a testimonial or feedback and a score, which is really important. I'll talk a little bit more about the importance of getting a score, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 or whatever, getting a score, because then you can build up some numbers. And it worked reasonably well, but we weren't quite getting the people providing feedback that we wanted. So we kept tweaking and kept adjusting it. And then it became an automated system that basically could obtain feedback, written feedback, from 1 in 5 clients, because then it became a system that could do it. So we'd have an email that would go out, then a follow-up email, and then a third email. And we found that we just got the balance right. So if we implemented that as an automated sequence, we'd get feedback. And I think in ResiCert, one of my businesses, we've got over 10,000 testimonials like this that we've collected using this system. And so we automated it. And so it was a way of, there really is no human person involved in it. It's not relying on someone coming in on a Monday or a Wednesday and doing something particular. It just happens. So if you've got something, if you've looked at it and you said, we can't get rid of it, we need it, we can't detonate it, let's look at how we can automate it. And then the third thing to consider is, if you can't automate it, then see if you can delegate it. And this is important, because if it's a low level activity, something that doesn't need the high skills from team members, or then look at how it can be delegated, how it can be outsourced. I've talked about outsourcing, because that's an effective way of still getting it done, but not having an impact within your business framework of putting the priority or taking the attention away of your team members on something that actually doesn't need their skills or their knowledge. So delegating, and that can be delegated, that can be outsourced, that can be from your own perspective, if it was something that you're doing, should you stop it, detonate it? Should you automate it? And if you believe it's still needed and it can't be automated effectively, then delegate it. So that's a bit of a concept behind making changes and making improvements. It's the DAD principle. And I'd really encourage you to look at it really closely with regards to your own time and what you're spending time on as the business owner. If you've got, I've got the time matrix, which I'm going to talk a little bit about. It's another way of looking closely at what you're spending your time on. If you look at what you're doing, can you just stop doing certain things? Can you just detonate it? Because the easiest way to free up time is to stop doing something. It's really obvious. If you just stop doing something that's not really needed, doesn't add value, it's going to free your time up instantly. It doesn't need any thought. It just needs you to stop doing it. And then often some of the things that you're doing, whilst you may not be using automation in your business, looking at putting in place some sort of an automated framework that needs no input from you, because if it's something that's a repeating sort of action that can be automated, then automate it from your own point of view. And then if you can't do that, if the first two, it doesn't suit those first two, then it can be delegated. And so something, for example, a delegation type activity, I remember there was something, there's a lot of activities that you'll do as a business owner, but over time, the trick is to move yourself towards where you believe you really add value and doing the things that you love, which is really important. So if you can end up delegating any of those activities that really don't resonate for you and you find a bit of a chore, it's going to not only free your time up, free your mind up, but it's going to make your ability to have impact much, much higher. So that's the DAD principle. It's something that I talk to my team about all the time, and a way of encouraging the clean out, the decluttering. I call it like the decluttering, because in businesses, you build things up, this gets added, another thing goes on the shelf, something else goes on the cupboard. So it's really essential that you declutter before you bring new things into place. Otherwise, businesses become very complicated and a little bit overwhelming. And when new people come into the business, there's just too much going on to really understand how it operates and where they should be putting their attention. So I think about it as a decluttering process, a way of cleaning out and preparing for new changes and improvements, and getting rid of things that just are no longer needed. So thanks for listening. Appreciate your time and look forward to touching base with you again. Ciao for now.